Hello and welcome to a lesson on the poem Life by Charlotte Bronte. This lesson is taken from Unit 1, Semester 3, from the textbook English in Use, a textbook for college students. The lesson is presented by Dr. P.V. Geeta Lakshmi Patnaik, Associate Professor of English, BJR Government Degree College, Narayanguda, Hyderabad. Let us now take a brief look at the biography of Charlotte Bronte. Charlotte Bronte was born in England on the 21st of April 1816 in a family of 6 children. Along with her sisters Emily and Anne, Charlotte and the others were referred to as the Bronte sisters. In 1846, these sisters self-published a collection of their poetry under the pseudonyms Currer, Ellis, and Acton Bell. This was because it was almost next to impossible for women to aspire to have a literary career during the 19th century. And so, like many other women, the Bronte sisters had to publish under male pseudonyms. But it was only in 1857, when Jane Eyre was published, that Charlotte achieved true literary recognition. Soon, however, her family was decimated in the sense that she lost her siblings, her brother Branwell and sisters Emily and Anne, during 1848 and 49. Sad and depressed, she retired to a quiet life in the village. A few years later, in 1854, she married Arthur Bell Nichols, but did not live long after that. On the 31st of March 1855, Charlotte Bronte died while pregnant after an extended illness. Let us now move on to the poem Life by Charlotte Bronte. I shall be reading out the poem for your benefit. Life by Charlotte Bronte. Life, believe, is not a dream, so dark as sages say. Oft a little morning rain foretells a pleasant day. Sometimes there are clouds of gloom, but these are transient all. If the shower will make the roses bloom, oh, why lament its fall? Rapidly, merrily, life's sunny hours flit by. Gratefully, cheerily, enjoy them as they fly. What though death at times steps in and calls our best away? What though sorrow seems to win over hope a heavy sway? Yet hope again elastic springs, unconquered though she fell. Still buoyant are her golden wings, still strong to bear us well. Manfully, fearlessly, the day of trial bear, for gloriously, victoriously can courage quell despair. I shall be reading the poem once again. Life by Charlotte Bronte. Life, believe, is not a dream, so dark as sages say. Oft a little morning rain foretells a pleasant day. Sometimes there are clouds of gloom, but these are transient all. If the shower will make the roses bloom, oh, why lament its fall? Rapidly, merrily, life's sunny hours flit by. Gratefully, cheerily, enjoy them as they fly. What though death at times steps in and calls our best away? What though sorrow seems to win over hope a heavy sway? Yet hope again elastic springs unconquered, though she fell. Still buoyant are her golden wings, still strong to bear us well. Manfully, fearlessly, the day of trial bear, for gloriously, victoriously can courage quell despair. Now, let us take a quick look at a few difficult words that come in the poem. The word sage means a wise person. Oft is an abbreviated form of often. Foretell means to predict, while gloom refers to darkness or sorrow. Bloom, when used as a verb, means to open, to blossom. Lament, when used as a verb, means to cry or to weep. Merrily, which is an adverb, means happily. Sunny days is a reference to happy days. Once again, sage is a wise person. Oft means often. Foretell means to predict. Gloom refers to darkness or sorrow. Bloom as a verb means to open or to blossom. Lament, once again, as a verb means to cry or to weep. Merrily is an adverb and it means happily. Sunny days refers to happy days. A few more words. Flit as a verb means to pass quickly. Sway means to control or influence. Unconquered is undefeated. Buoyant means resilient, that is, being able to float very easily. Manfully means courageously or bravely. And quell, to crush or to suppress. Despair, to lose hope. Once again, flit means to pass quickly. Sway means to control or influence. Unconquered means undefeated. Buoyant means resilient, which is the ability to float very easily or being able to float very easily. Manfully means courageously, bravely. And quell means to crush or to suppress, while despair as a verb means to lose hope. So now let us quickly move on to the first stanza. Charlotte Bronte says that life is not a dream which is as dark as sages say. As she says, life, believe, is not a dream so dark as sages say. This is a direct address to the audience, to her readers, and she tells them that they have to believe her as she says that life is not a dream so dark, which means as dark as sages say, as wise men say. Wise men have the often say that life is full of sadness, life is full of sorrow. But then Charlotte Bronte says, yes, life is dark, life is sad, but then it is not as dark as the sages say. For that she gives a reason, because she says, often a little morning rain foretells a pleasant day. So the morning rain is not to be taken as a sign of gloom for the whole day. It is actually a sign that the rest of the day could be a very pleasant day. The weather in England is often like this. So it may rain a little in the morning, but the rest of the day could be pleasant. So she relates the weather to life in general. And thus when Charlotte Bronte says that life is not a dream, which is as dark, as sorrowful as sages say, what she is trying to say is that life is a reality which is full of happiness and sadness. Therefore, if there is a little morning rain, it is not something to be worried about, because it could be taken as a sign of a pleasant day. Now, let us move on to the second stanza. Sometimes there are clouds of gloom, but these are transient all. If the shower will make the roses bloom, oh, why lament its fall? So, the metaphor of the rain is now continued in the second stanza. And here she talks about clouds of gloom. So sometimes, the word here is sometimes, there are clouds of gloom, but these are transient all. Transient means temporary, something that is not permanent. So clouds of gloom, of course there are clouds of gloom, but then these clouds of gloom are transient, temporary. They are not permanent. So why do we have to worry? If the shower will make the roses bloom, oh, why lament its fall? If this rain, if these clouds of gloom bring the shower, the light rain, and these showers will make the roses bloom, so why should one weep for the fall of the rain? Why should one weep that there is rain? There is no necessity to worry, because the showers are the ones that are responsible for making the roses bloom. These four lines, when linked to the four lines in the first stanza, convey the message of a positive attitude, the necessity for a positive attitude. Life is full of troubles, but life is also full of hope. This is what she is trying to say. In the next stanza, there is a very quick movement. The very words convey this movement, where she says, rapidly, merrily, life's sunny hours flit by, gratefully, cheerily, enjoy them as they fly. So the movement, the rhythm is very quick paced and full of life. And so she says that life's sunny hours flit by, pass by very quickly, rapidly, but then happily too. So the sunny hours, which is a reference to happy hours, are the happiness in these words are reinforced in the word merrily. And so we have rapidly, merrily, life's sunny hours flit by. The movement is very happy, the movement is very fast. And so, when there is such a rapid and a happy movement of hours, or when time passes so quickly, so happily, we have to be grateful and we have to be cheerful and we have to enjoy them as they fly. These four lines also talk about the transience of happiness or the temporary nature of happiness, but then it is also a reference to the temporary nature of sadness. If happiness is temporary, then sadness is also temporary. So, in these four lines, the poet Charlotte Bronte is telling us that she tells us that life's sunny hours are but temporary. They flit by, they pass by very quickly, very happily, and therefore it is our duty to enjoy them as they fly. The fourth stanza has a slightly different tone. Here she is defiant. She says, what though death at times steps in and calls our best away? What though sorrow seems to win over hope a heavy sway? Here is a reference to the biographical details of Charlotte Bronte's life. As I have mentioned earlier, Charlotte Bronte lost her siblings in quick succession during 1848 and 49. Even before that, she had lost two other sisters. So when she says that death comes at times and calls away our best, it means takes away our beloved people, the best people that we know. So, and brings us sorrow. What though sorrow seems to win over hope a heavy sway? What if this is true? Still, it doesn't matter, she says. The question implies that the answer is it really doesn't matter, because even though death comes in sometimes and takes away the best people, takes away our most beloved people, still there is hope. So, what though sorrow seems to win over hope a heavy sway? The word seems is a key word here, because seems means to appear. It means it only appears, but it is not. It does not win over hope. It only seems to win over hope. The word is very important. We have to note this. So, what though sorrow seems to win over hope a heavy sway? The poet uses the word seems to tell us that it is only appearance, that it looks as if sorrow appears to win over hope, but then it really does not do that. It does not win over hope, because ultimately hope wins. And how do we know that? For that, we have to move on to the next stanza. Yet hope again elastic springs, unconquered though she fell. Still buoyant are her golden wings, still strong to bear us well. So hope is personified here. You have the capital H. In the previous stanza, as you can see, death has been personified as also the best. Death, of course, stands for the Lord of Death, or it could only mean the process of death. And whereas best refers to our best people, our beloved people, the best of the human beings. So this word is personified, death is personified here. And here hope is again personified. So hope is elastic, it springs back, it doesn't stay down. And hope is unconquered. Though she fell, even though it looks as though hope has fallen, one need not worry, because hope will come back again. Because hope is elastic, hope springs back again. And so still buoyant, the word, the quality of elasticity and the ability to spring back is again reflected here in this word buoyant. Buoyant means being resilient. It means being able to float back or rise back to the surface. And so still buoyant are her golden wings. Whose golden wings? These golden wings refer to hope. So hope is pictured as a bird here. And so the golden bird, which has golden wings, and these wings are buoyant, they rise above all the troubles, and these golden wings are still strong to bear as well. So these wings can bear us well from the depths. They can take us, lift us from the depths and take us up into the sky again. So this stanza is all about hope, the unconquerable spirit of hope, the strength that hope has, the elasticity, the quality of elasticity that hope has. Therefore, hope is elastic, hope has the ability to spring back, hope is unconquered, hope is buoyant, and hope is strong. So, this stanza reinforces all the qualities of hope. So let me just go through it again. Hope has elastic properties. Hope has the ability to spring back. Hope is unconquered. And though she falls, she can always rise back again. Hope is buoyant. She has golden wings and she is buoyant. She has the quality of resilience, of buoyancy. And hope is very strong. She can bear as well. So all these qualities of hope are going to help us. They will help us to rise from despair. And now let us move on to the last stanza. In the last stanza, once again, we have four adverbs. Manfully, fearlessly, the day of trial bear, for gloriously, victoriously can courage quell despair. Now the word can is used, the word can, or sorry, the word for is used in the sense of because. These two lines refer to us or to the speakers, sorry, the listeners, the audience. And so we can bear the day of trial, the day of troubles, if we can do it if we believe that courage can help us. And so if we are full of courage, if we bear it manfully, if we bear the day of trial manfully, courageously, fearlessly, then everything is ours. Hope will be with us because courage can quell despair. Courage has the ability, hope and courage have the ability to quell despair, to crush despair. So, and how does it happen? It happens gloriously, victoriously. So, one need not fear, one need not be afraid of, sorrows and sadness in life because this is something that one has to face. So let us quickly go back to the beginning of the poem and take a very, very quick look. Life believe is not a dream so dark as sages say. Oft a little morning rain foretells a pleasant day. Life, Charlotte Bronte says, is not a dream which is so dark or as dark as sages say. It is dark, yes, of course, but then not as dark as the sages say. Often, very often, a little morning rain foretells a pleasant day. Often, little morning rain is only a prediction that the rest of the day is going to be very pleasant. The second stanza, sometimes there are clouds of gloom, but these are transient all. If the shower will make the roses bloom, oh, why lament its fall? Sometimes, yes, of course, there are clouds of gloom, but then these clouds are transient, temporary, they are not permanent. If the shower will make the roses bloom, the shower has another effect, consequence. It will make the roses bloom. When these beautiful roses get the ability to bloom from this shower, then why should one lament the rain? Why should one lament that there is a shower at all? Therefore, one has to have a very positive attitude in life. Rapidly, merrily, life's sunny hours flit by. Gratefully, cheerily, enjoy them as they fly. The poet talks about the transience, not just of the clouds of gloom, but also of life's sunny hours. If the if life's sunny hours are brief, then one has to enjoy them as they fly. And how should one enjoy them? Gratefully, cheerily, because it is not often that one gets a chance to enjoy life's sunny hours. So, the message here is that just as the days or the dark days or dark hours are transient, temporary, life's sunny hours are also transient. Therefore, one has to enjoy them gratefully and cheerily. And then she asks two very important questions which come from the depth of her life's tragedies. What though death at times steps in and calls the best away? What though sorrow seems to win over hope's heavy sway? It doesn't really matter that death sometimes looks as if it has come only to take our beloved people away. It doesn't really matter if sorrow seems to win over hope. many a times, because the word here, the operational word here is seems. It only appears because ultimately victory belongs to hope. The fifth stanza is all about hope, how hope has elastic properties, like I mentioned earlier, how hope has the property to spring back, how hope is unconquered, how hope is buoyant, and how hope is strong enough to bear us on her golden wings. And the last stanza has a very, very positive message. Charlotte Bronte says, all of us need to have courage in order to bear the day of trial or the day of sorrow. And how should we do it? We should do it manfully and fearlessly, bravely and courageously. And this is because courage has the ability to quell despair. Courage has the ability to crush despair. And this will be done gloriously, victoriously. So, this is the message with which Charlotte Bronte leaves us. Very quickly, let us just look at a few highlights in the poem. The focus in the poem is on the realities of life. There is a binary between, joy and sorrow, hope and despair. If there is joy, there is definitely going to be sorrow. If there is hope, definitely there's going to be despair. But in order to balance this, one needs to have a positive attitude. Without this positive attitude, it is very easy for us to fall into despair. Sorrow leads to despair, but it should not. Sorrow should tell us that just as joy is temporary, sorrow is also temporary, and therefore one should always have hope and not just fall into despair. And that is why it is very important to have a positive attitude. Similarly, it is also very important to have an appreciation of the pleasures of life. Life is very temporary, life is very brief, and during these few days or hours or years that we live, one has to be appreciative of the pleasures of life. Finally, the message is that in the battle between hope and despair, or hope versus despair, the hope always wins. Though it may seem as though despair wins many a time, what ultimately happens is that hope eventually wins. Hope wins for all of us. And therefore, one should always have hope. One should always believe that things are going to be better. And this is a message with which Charlotte Bronte leaves us. She gives us courage. She tells us that life is temporary. Life is temporary. Sorrows are temporary. Joys are temporary. And so, why should one sit down and cry over all this? Isn't it better to have a positive attitude? Isn't it better to have an appreciation of the pleasures of life? Isn't it better to always know that one can hope for the best? Isn't it better that we can always rise from sorrow? Isn't it better that we can always try to avoid despair? Then one can lead a life filled with positivity, a life filled with appreciation, and maybe have the strength, the courage to win over sorrow and despair. Thank you, dear students.